Welcome to the Tipping Point Show. I'm Jimmy Evans. I've got a special program for you today. I'm talking about some news articles. I'm talking about AI. Someone has developed an artificial intelligence propaganda machine that is ultra cheap and ultra dangerous. I'm going to be reading that, as well as a nuclear threat, another nuclear threat from Russia this week. And so I'm going to be talking about that and several other news articles. Also answering questions from you guys. You've written some phenomenal questions, and I'm going to be answering today. Let me begin, though, by talking about Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets that comes up next week. It's a 2-day feast. And the 7 feasts of Israel that God gave to the children of Israel, Leviticus 23, He commanded them to observe those feasts. Now, those feasts are a prophetic grid of the future. The 7 feasts of Israel tell us graphically the future in advance. Now, remember, in the Old Testament, well, they didn't know that. They were just going through, the convocations. God told them to have the feast and have holy convocations. Well, convocation means a dress rehearsal. And so they didn't know, for example, at Passover, when they were killing the male lamb, they didn't know that they were doing a dress rehearsal of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Jesus was crucified during the Feast of Passover. He was buried during the Feast of Unleavened Bread. He was resurrected during the Feast of First Fruits, and 50 days later, the Holy Spirit fell and the church was birthed during the Feast of Pentecost. See, it was not random. That God, in the past, He looked into the future and He knew everything that was going to happen, so He created a feast to commemorate. These are major, major world-changing events. The crucifixion of Jesus, the burial, the resurrection of Jesus, the falling of the Holy Spirit during the day of Pentecost. All of those were world-changing, world-shaking events. And so a feast beforehand said, hey, this is coming up. Well, there's 3 more feasts. And these 3 feasts are also dress rehearsals of something that's just about to happen. The next feast, now the first feasts were spring feasts. The next 3 feasts are fall feasts. And the next one is the Feast of Trumpets that's going to happen next week. And this is from sundown on September the 15th to sundown on September the 17th. That's a Friday to a Sunday. Remember, the days of the Jewish day is not from sunup until the next morning at dawn. A Jewish day is sundown to sundown, dusk to dusk. And so this will begin on Friday, end on Sunday next week. And so the 15th to the 17th, and that's when our conference is. The Tipping Point Prophecy Conference is during Rosh Hashanah. We do this on purpose. Again, what we're hoping is that Jesus comes during Rosh Hashanah, during the conference. We're going to be there with thousands of believers. We would love to have you be there. endtimes.com. Go there and sign up. It's going to be me, Rabbi Jonathan Kahn, Dr. Tony Evans, Pastor Ed Young, the pastor of Fellowship Church. That's where the conference is going to be. Dr. Mark Hitchcock, Billy Crone. We're going to have a wonderful time. And also we have Rick Renner, who's going to be on our panel. Every year we have a panel where we answer questions, a live panel. And Rick Renner is just a brilliant Bible teacher, a brilliant author, has some of the best books I've ever read. It's going to be great. Go on endtimes.com and sign up. And I just want to remind you now, my daughter Julie and I wrote this book called Where Are the Missing People? And we wrote this to leave behind. This is a book designed for people that are left behind. Now, a lot of people read this when they buy it and they love it. It's very encouraging to them, and it helps to tell them about the end times. And so it's a good read. It'll bless you. But lay this on your coffee table, on your nightstand, in your car, your apartment, your dorm room, your office, wherever. And the question that everyone's going to be asking the day after the rapture, the moment after the rapture, where are the missing people? Where are those people? Well, this tells them where they are. It also tells them about where they are and how to receive Christ. The most important thing this book does is tell people how to receive Christ. So it tells them how to receive the Lord, how to build a relationship with the Lord, and how to walk through the next 7 years that are coming on the earth. And so this is a very important book. We sell these in bulk. It's called missingpeoplebook.com. And you can go on there and get some great discounts if you're buying more than one. A lot of churches buy them. A lot of people buy them for all their friends and relatives. And so this is an important book. So I believe that Rosh Hashanah, the fulfillment, see the next 3 feasts, the first 4 feasts had a literal fulfillment to the day. The next 3 feasts will have a literal fulfillment to the day, and there'll be earth-shaking events. They're going to be major earth-shaking events that will affect every single person on earth. Well, I believe that the Feast of Trumpets, that the fulfillment is the rapture of the church. Now, Jesus can come at any time. I don't get dogmatic about this. I don't say there's only 2 days of the year where Jesus could come, but I believe that the fulfillment of the Feast of Trumpets is the fulfillment of the Feast of Trumpets is the rapture of the church. See, one of the Jewish names of the Feast of Trumpets is the day that no one knows. And so Jesus said, no one knows the day or the hour. Well, if I told you that Jesus was coming during Rosh Hashanah, you still don't know the day or the hour. It's called the wedding day of the Messiah. It's called the day of the awakening blast. The dead in Christ rise first, and we who are alive and remain will be caught up together with them to meet the Lord in the clouds in the air. That's 1 Thessalonians 4. So all of the names there are many names for the Feast of Trumpets that the Jews have. They all speak of the rapture of the church. So I believe that Jesus could come next week. Could. I'm not saying he is. I never set dates. But I hope he does. Wouldn't it be great to be with other believers, worshiping God and learning and being encouraged, and Jesus comes? That'd be the greatest conference in the history of the world if Jesus comes during this conference. I'm not saying he will. I'm sure saying, I hope he will. And so a lot of people are coming. We'd love to have you there. Be sure to go to endtimes.com and sign up. I want to begin. I'm talking about some news articles today. This is a really, really troubling news article, and this is from Insider, and it's by Polly Thompson. The title of this article is, "A developer built a propaganda machine using OpenAI tech to highlight the dangers of mass-produced AI disinformation." And I've talked about this before. This guy did it. And so here's what the article says. A developer has built an AI disinformation machine using OpenAI-powered technology like ChatGPT. The project, named CounterCloud, took its creator 2 months to complete and cost less than $400 a month to operate, highlighting how cheap and simple it can be to create mass propaganda. The creator, who chose to remain anonymous, used the name Nay Pa and claimed to be a cybersecurity professional, Wired reported. In a video posted on YouTube, Pa described how the project was carried out and why they were doing it. They said they wanted to see AI disinformation work in the real world, adding that strong language competencies of large language models are perfectly suited to reading and writing fake news articles. Pa said they started by inputting opposing articles into ChatGPT and writing prompts instructing it to write a counter article. The AI bot would then offer different examples of the same article written in different styles and with different viewpoints. They said it would do this by creating fake stories, fake historical events, and creating doubt in the accuracy of the original article. A gatekeeper module was then added so that the AI would only respond to the most relevant content. Listen to this. While audio clips of newsreaders reading the fake AI-generated articles and photos were added to create authenticity. They also created fake journalist profiles and fake comments below some articles. The system was then told to like and repost messages that aligned with its narrative or write counter tweets to those that didn't. In 2 months, they had a fully autonomous AI-powered system that generated convincing content 90% of the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The creators haven't yet set the model live on the internet, as it would mean actively pushing out disinformation and propaganda. Once the genie is out on the internet, there is no knowing where it would end up, Pa said. The threat AI poses to democracy through its ability to accelerate the creation and spread of online disinformation has been one of the biggest concerns in the AI debate. I am nervous about the impact AI is going to have on future elections, at least until everyone gets used to it. The personalized 1.1 persuasion combined with high-quality generated media is going to be a powerful force. Well, everybody should be concerned about this. So Elon Musk was interviewed by Tucker Carlson on television several months ago. And this is the year, 2023, this is the year of AI. AI wasn't here this time last year. I mean, it was somewhere, but it wasn't on the open market. So this is the year that it's come out. So Elon Musk was being interviewed, and he kept saying to Tucker Carlson, the dangers of AI, the dangers of AI. And finally, Tucker stopped him and said, wait just a minute, you keep saying the dangers of AI, specifically, what are you talking about? And Elon Musk said, mass disinformation. He said, when AI learns to communicate, it will begin to write social media that will be extremely persuasive, and no one will know it's AI generated. And so what he is saying is, in addition to that, they're having fake reporters read these fake articles to increase its authenticity. Well, this is what AI can do. It can make a video. It can make up a video. It can make up a picture. It can make up a voice, or it can mimic a voice. It's a very, very dangerous thing. And so when AI came out, and I'm going to be talking about AI the weekend of the conference, but I said it's announcing the arrival of the Antichrist. It says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 that the Antichrist comes with all unrighteous deception. All unrighteous deception. Can you imagine anything that can enable the Antichrist more to deceive the world and to convince the world that he is God more than artificial intelligence on his side? In other words, satanically inspired artificial intelligence. For $400 a month, in 2 months, he created this disinformation machine through AI. I mean, it's a powerful thing. Think of a company. Think of someone with billions of dollars of resources and the damage that they could do using something like this. And he did it to illustrate, whoever this was, did it to illustrate the dangers of AI. I'm telling you, I believe that the Antichrist is here. I believe we're living in the world of the Antichrist. AI thinks 100,000 times faster than the human brain, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It never has to rest, sleep, take a nap, eat, anything like that. It's just sitting there ginning all day long, and there are thousands and thousands of these computers around the world. It is a dangerous, dangerous thing. And just like anything else, you can point to something positive about AI, and I'm sure that there are positive things about AI, and I know some people, some Christian ministries using it right now. So I'm not saying it's all bad. I'm saying it's the most dangerous invention in the history of the world. Because for the first time in the history of the world, we're no longer the most intelligent beings on the earth. AI is smarter than us. If you ever seen the movie Terminator, I mean, we're there. That's where we are. We're in a world where AI could take over. So this is another article here. Russian state TV threatens nuclear strike on the United States. This is World, and this is by Brendan Cole, September 4th. A Kremlin propagandist has issued the latest nuclear threat against the West regarding the war in Ukraine, warning that the U.S. could be in danger of a Russian missile attack. Igor Korochenko, editor of the newspaper National Defense and a regular guest on the Russian One channel, where guests have repeatedly called for strikes against Ukraine's allies, took exception to criticism of Russian conduct in the war. You know, the Russian economy is smaller than the economy of the state of Texas. And so it is a regional power. Russia, except for their nuclear arsenal, they're a regional power. Look at the war in Ukraine. The Ukrainians have humiliated the Russians. And Russia, you know, they've come out with all this bark, but there wasn't as big a bite behind it. Of course, now, you know, that Putin is saying they have the Satan II missile that they're prepared to launch. They're prepared to use tactical nuclear weapons, according to them. This is one of the things that this article is talking about here. But they're threatening the West. And so we have tried the United States has tried very hard not to get involved directly in a conflict with Russia, even though we're giving Ukraine billions of dollars. This is a very political issue, and I don't want to get into the politics of it, but what I want to say is, this is why the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, they're the ones who have the doomsday clock. That's why at the beginning of this year, they had the doomsday clock at 100 seconds to midnight. They moved it up to 90 seconds to midnight. And they're looking at things like this. We have Iran and Russia currently threatening to exterminate us through nuclear weapons. Iran means it. I mean, they will do it as soon as they get nuclear weapons. They're going to strike Israel first, or try to. And if they can, they're also going to strike us. This is a very real threat. But Russia now is saying that they're trying to shoo us away. NATO is a very powerful force. And if you attack one NATO nation, you attack all NATO nations. And Russia is surrounded by NATO nations. And they're trying to insulate themselves from NATO in the West by taking over the Ukraine, which they have not done, to take over the Ukraine and to scare, to intimidate the West. And so they're not getting away with it. NATO is expanding. New nations are joining NATO specifically because of the Russian threat. But my question is this, and it is a question, I'm not saying this. Ezekiel 38 talks about Gog and Magog, and Gog is a man. Magog is the land that Gog rules over. It talks about Gog, and it talks about him just being a maniacal figure in the end times that leads a coalition of Russia, Iran, Turkey, the area of Syria, some of the northern Africa nations, in a battle against Israel, and in which God wins. Well, Gog is, and my question is Putin Gog? And if Putin is Gog, he could be capable of a lot of really, really dangerous things, if he's backed into a corner, and he is backed into a corner right now. And so America is not in Bible prophecy. If America is in Bible prophecy, it's hard to find. And I've talked about that before on the show. And so maybe there's the possibility that one of the reasons that America isn't here is maybe we've been struck. Maybe there's been the successful launching of a nuclear weapon, and we're surrounded by Russian submarines. We've caught them in our waters off the coast of Alaska and off the coast of California. And so I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm just saying they're once again threatening nuclear war, and this is something that we can all be praying about, is that America needs to empower nations that are being threatened by bullies. And Ukraine is being bullied by Russia, and we need to stand with them. The question is, how much money do we give them? I don't have the answer to that. I'm not a politician. But I'll just say this, China's watching. And if Russia takes to Ukraine, China will attack Taiwan. There's no doubt about it. They're probably going to attack Taiwan anyway. But they're looking to see our resolve. They're looking to see the resolve of the West, because the West is more powerful than the East. And that's why Russia, China, and Iran and other nations are joining together to try to shift the global power balance there. And so it's interesting to see. But once again, on state TV, Russian state TV, they're threatening to use nuclear weapons against us. Hey, listen, thank you for joining me today. Hey, on YouTube, hit your like and subscribe button there. And also, to get all of the news articles and the questions that I'm answering, go to endtimes.com, become a subscriber for $7. God bless you. Goodbye.
This is the thing that they're building with what's called 15-minute cities. Right?
Yes.
You will not be able to purchase out of your 15-minute radius of your house. And you're like, well, they can't make me do that. I'll just go do it anyway. Well, fine. Go outside your 15-minute radius, which, by the way, they can tell your location, right, certainly with just even your cell phone. But your money will shut off. Once you make it past that geofence, it will shut off. You can't do anything economically past 15 minutes to your house.
Welcome to the Tipping Point Show. I'm Jimmy Evans, and I have joining me again today Pastor Billy Crone. And we're going to be talking again today on this program about his book and his documentary, Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, and the Coming Mark of the Beast. This is a fascinating topic that we're talking about today, and I want you to stay tuned. Before we go to that interview, let me just say we have our conference coming up on September the 16th at Fellowship Church. Grapevine, Texas is a part of the Metroplex here. It's 5 minutes from the DFW airport if you're flying in. We would love to have you join us at our conference this year. Pastor Billy Crone is going to be speaking there, as well as Pastor Ed Young, who is the pastor of Fellowship Church. Dr. Tony Evans, a Bible scholar and an end-time scholar, will be joining us this year. Dr. Mark Hitchcock, Rabbi Jonathan Kahn, myself will all be there, and it's going to be a tremendous day of learning about Bible prophecy, being encouraged in the Lord, learning about all the things that God is doing in these times with some very gifted speakers and pastors. And so we want you to be a part of that. Go to endtimes.com, sign up for this year's conference. We have reserved seating. So you can go on there, you can specifically reserve your seat or seats regarding how many, depending on how many people that you're bringing. If you're a paid subscriber to endtimes.com, you get a 50% discount. So it's a wonderful thing. We also have streaming. And so if you want to stream in at home or at your church, that's also available on there. And as a paid subscriber, you get a 50% discount. Now, remember now, when you sign up, be sure when you come to the conference, you use the email address that is associated with your endtimes.com subscription. We would love to have you be a part of this year's conference. It's going to be powerful. So go to endtimes.com and sign up right now. Pastor Billy Crone is a regular guest here on the Tipping Point Show. He is the senior pastor of the Sunrise Bible Church in Las Vegas, Nevada. In addition to being a pastor, he's also a gifted author, conference speaker, and teacher. He's written many books on the end times, produced many documentaries, and today we're going to be talking about his new book, Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, and the Coming Mark of the Beast. Billy, thank you for joining me again.
Thank you, Pastor Jimmy. Great to be
here.
Well,
you're just fascinating on the last program. If you didn't see the last program, you need to listen to it because it was absolutely fascinating. So this is a book and a documentary. And so if people are interested, which you should be interested, because this is what's happening in the world right now, and this is setting up the mark of the beast.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm convinced. Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the things that is setting up the mark of the beast is what's happening economically
Yes.
in America and in the world. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, again, back to Revelation 13, that's the proof text, right? It's not a conspiracy theory, but God warned nearly 2,000 years ago there's going to come a time when two people, false prophet and the Antichrist, the beast, are going to take control of the planet, including economically, to where the point is where they would be able to control the buying and selling on the planet. And it'll be tied in biometrically, is the modern vernacular for that, with a mark in the right hand specifically or in the forehead. So if that's going to happen, then you have to basically have the ability to control the economies around the world, right? That was written 2,000 years ago. Well, guess what? That's been in place for a long time.
Right.
We already have a global bank. We already have a global lending institution, the International Monetary Fund. We already have a global, if you will, strong arm to punish people who don't obey these global economic rules and things of that nature. So the infrastructure has been there, and that punishers the World Trade Organization.
Right.
And so, but then, okay, well, then Revelation 13 says you're going to make buying and selling with basically your body parts. Well, obviously that to me would imply a cashless society, because what are you going to do? Take $20 to your right hand, or put it all on your forehead? And no. Yeah. So obviously it's some sort of electronic marking system. That's common sense. And that's been in place for a long time, a cashless society. In fact, for the first time in history, we're now seeing whole countries go cashless. One of the far reaches, they're not the only one, but one of the farthest ones is Sweden. Sweden right now is 99% cashless.
Right.
And they just completely get rid of it. And then Sweden is already taking the next step. Then they're having microchip parties. So they're used to doing cashless.
Yes.
But they're already going to the next step, and they're big on the microchips, because now I could just wave my hand. I got used to doing it cashless in my hand with a chip and a card. I've been used to, forget that. I'll just use the chip in my phone. Mm-hmm. Now they're skipping it and doing the chip, and now I can do it with my hand. So it's like a frog in a pot. Warm this up to it. The Bible's the only book on the planet that tells us where it's headed. So, but then again, well, wait a second. So they have their version of that. So at some point, you're going to have to unify. They've already got the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. We're already seeing people line up all over the world, whole countries even, to go cashless. But how are you going to unify it? Well, that's what's being done as we speak. The Klaus Schwab and the gang, they're what they call the fourth industrial revolution that they're building, which really should be called the Fourth Reich. They also call it the Great Reset. And that reset, on the one side, is an economic reset. And admittedly, they want to tie all the world's planets, all the world's economies into a cashless society. They want to reset it, the Great Reset, and they will control it all for our supposed good. And that's what they're doing around the planet right now. In every major developed country, what they're pushing for now is a digital currency. Right. And not just a digital currency, but a digital currency that can be completely controlled, not just biometrically, but based on a person's compliance to these guys. Now, believe it or not, China has been a test bed for this for many years. It's called the social credit scoring system that they've had in place for years. And if you look at that, it's not just a digital economy over in China, cashless, but your behavior is monitored. That's the other half of this thing. You don't get to buy and sell if your behavior doesn't comply with the government. And this has been out there for years, and I think they're working out the bugs on it. And basically, in Asia right now, if you say anything bad about the government, you're in big trouble economically. You can't fly a plane, can't board a train, you can't get a loan. Yeah. And it isn't just you got to listen and do what the government tells you to do. Or if you speak out against them, it's what you post on social media. Yeah. It's who you hang out with, because they can see you through the CCTV camera system. And then even things like if you jaywalk or if you let your dog go to the bathroom and you don't clean it up, you get punished economically. That's the power of going into a cashless society.
This is true. This is what's happening in China right now. And I saw, Billy, in one article I read, if you went to the grocery store and bought water versus liquor, if you buy water, you get a plus. If you got liquor, you get a minus. Yeah. And everything you're saying, They're monitoring everything through the electronic digital currency.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and here's another thing. This is what's creepy. You think that's bad enough? They will reward you over there if you turn in somebody that you saw doing something bad.
Nazi Germany.
That maybe they didn't. It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So you're going like, well, too bad for China. Well, guess what? This is what's going on that people need to realize. It's going all over the world, including here in the United States of America. It's called the CBDC. Of course, they don't call it the social credit scoring system because people are starting to catch on to what's going on in China. But basically, Klaus Schwab, and it's also on tape that he admits that China is basically a role model, and he admits that they're the next world superpower. So I think they're working with China, and that they're basically the test bed. But they basically want to bring the China model to the whole world. The term that's out there, if you want to check it out, it's called techno-communism. Techno-communism. And basically what's going on in China, they want to bring to the planet, right? And you think, well, that'll never happen here. Well, it's already happening. Go back to what we talked about in our last interview. Who's Klaus Schwab's favorite disciple on tape? Mr. Biden, right? Biden was brought in to purposely destroy the American economy. And you're going like, well, why would he do that? Because what's Klaus's goal? He wants to reset the global economy. Well, if you're going to reset the global economy, make it cashless and control the whole thing, then you got to get rid of the current one. Well, who's the current reserve for the global economy? What does the world economy revolve around? The U.S. dollar.
That's right.
So if you're going to reset it, what do you got to do first? Get rid of the U.S. dollar. That's why Biden was brought in. That's why the very first thing he did when he got in office was what? The very first day, shut the pipelines off. He began to do things to purposely hurt our economy, destroy our economy, and he hasn't stopped yet. And this is a misnomer. I mean, I get it. The guy's, has trouble reading a cue card and he fumbles whatever. But people, they kind of like, oh, he's just making dumb decisions. No. He's not just making dumb decisions. He's making deliberate decisions to deliberately destroy our economy because he works for Schwab. And you've got to destroy the American economy before you can reset the global economy.
Well, they're trying right now, Billy, on this deal to the debt limit ceiling and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. They're wanting to spend trillions more dollars even after COVID and after all the inflation that we have right now. They're wanting to continue to pump dollars in there, and any reasonable person just says like that you're destroying the economy.
Right. Well, and guess what? They are. And here's what people need to realize. They're doing it on purpose. Because once you see who they're working for, Schwab, and once you see his in-game plan, reset, it all makes sense. And that's why to use this, one guy had shared an acronym with Biden's name. I think it's very descriptive of what he's really doing. People think, oh, he's just making a dumb decision. No. Biden apparently stands for, he says, bumbling imbecile destroying the entire nation. But see, really, that's what he's doing. And again, we talked about this a little bit last time. This isn't a Republican-Democrat issue.
Right.
I'm not here to say whatever, because if anything we learned with the last administration, it goes on both sides of the aisle.
Absolutely.
Drain the swamp.
Absolutely.
So I'm not here to just, you're just being anti-Democrat. No, I'm pro-truth of what's going on in the world. In fact, if you want to go even deeper, and we do in this documentary, Klaus Schwab has been training people, including Biden, for years, and he's planted them for the last 50 years in every major developed country in the world. That's why the world had such a uniform procedure when it comes to the COVID pandemic. That's why the world right now has the same procedure when it goes to a digital currency. Every major developed is doing it because they're working for Schwab. But my point is, we bring out, it's both sides of the aisle, Pastor Jimmy. Yeah. Democrats, are trainees of Schwab, but so are the Republicans.
Absolutely.
A lot of them. So I don't want people to get sidetracked. Oh, you're picking on Biden. No, you're missing the point. We need to deal with the facts. And the facts are, this guy's working for Schwab. But here's my point. So he's deliberately destroying the economy because you have to do that to reset it. But here's my point. What about this digital currency? Pastor Jimmy, he already signed, and I encourage people to check it out. An executive order is 14067. And this was last March, over a year ago now, that he signed that, and basically it paves the way for when the right crisis comes along, we can switch in America to a digital currency so that this will never happen again. It'll guarantee that we're not going to have, whatever crisis it could be. It could be an economic crisis. It could be another pandemic. It could be, Klaus is big on this. He's always talking about a cyber pandemic, whatever, things of that nature. But whatever it is, it'll become an excuse to, see, we're going to switch. But the misnomer is, this has been pre-planned. And this is what the other countries are doing. Now, of course, you can't call it the social credit score system. You can't say, hey, it's basically techno-communism, what China's doing, and it's going to control every aspect of your life. You can't say that. It's too obvious. So the term out there now, what they call this is the coming digital dollar. Some of the terms out there is called Biden bucks. But the other term that people might hear of, it's called CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency.
Right.
The reason why it's central bank is because everything would be digital, but there will be a central bank, basically a main hub, that will be tied together with every financial institution, and they will literally monitor in real time every single transaction you can think of.
Yeah, and see, right now, so somebody comes to my house and they do some work, and I give them a $100 bill or $200. Well, they may report that to the income tax. They may not.
Right.
That won't be an option in the future. When you have digital, they know exactly where all the money's going. They know exactly what you're spending it on. And so, Billy, just imagine that you have all this money in digital currency, and you say, I want to give $2,000 to my church, or I want to give $2,000 to this pro-life group, because there is in the Justice Department of the United States right now, they have weaponized the FBI, they've weaponized the Justice Department to go after pro-life groups, to go after Christian groups and things like that. Imagine that they had the digital dollar to track all their behavior and all that kind of stuff like that. So it puts the control you have with cash, and many of us use digital currency right now, online banking and things like that. But when you introduce this central bank digital currency, you are giving control at a massive level that's never been there before.
Oh, absolutely. I fully agree. And that's why we're trying to blow the whistle on this, because basically, again, I don't believe I'm using hyperbole, but if we're still alive and still here and the rapture hasn't happened, and if they get this digital currency, even here in America, under Biden, into play, Pastor Jimmy, it's game over.
Yeah.
They will and people say, well, who cares about cash? I already use cash. I hardly ever use cash. And I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
It's very rare for me to use cash. It's not what we're talking about. When it's truly only digital cash as your only option, they'll control every aspect of your life. Let me give you an example. This is what comes with this new digital currency, the Biden bucks, whatever you want to call it. The China model is really all it is. They'll do everything that they're doing in China, but now it'll be here in the United States of America. For instance, you speak out against the government, anything that they don't like, any of their policies, the current administration, whatever, social media, cell phone, texting, whatever, because they monitor it all, you'll be punished. And they'll go like, we'll either freeze your money or, we just took half your money. Don't do it again or we'll take it all. And you go, they can't do that. It's digital now. You can't stop it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just one thing. Let's say you go to the store and you say, I'm going to buy what I want. No, you won't. Remember, what's one of Klaus's big things that people, they say, he'll never do that. You will eat less meat. Right? Remember that? People go, this is Texas. You ain't going to tell me I'm going to use steak, right? I'm going to eat cow. Right? Not if it goes digital. Yeah. Because they will control, and they already do it, they control all your purchases, and you're only going to be given a monthly allotment. And if you go there, even though there is a stake before you, the transaction will not go through because you already hit your monthly allotment. Oh, yeah. So they'll control your food purchases. They'll control your behavior online, out what they see in public, just like the China model and things of that nature. It gets worse than that. They will create what's called geofencing with your money. And this is all admitted. And geofencing is basically, you sit there like, well, okay, that store won't let me, but I'm going to go over here and, whatever, or try to get this or buy it, or I'll go visit somebody. This is the thing that they're building with what's called 15-minute cities. Right?
Yes.
You will not be able to purchase out of your 15-minute radius of your house. And you're like, well, they can't make me do that. I'll just go do it anyway. Well, fine. Go outside your 15-minute radius, which, by the way, they can tell your location, certainly with just even your cell phone. But your money will shut off. Once you make it past that geofence, it will shut off. You can't do anything economically past 15 minutes of your house.
If you're watching on YouTube, and I hope you're a subscriber here on YouTube, also become a subscriber to endtimes.com. You get to see all the full podcast, my full podcast, Tipping Point, every week. Dr. Mark Hitchcock has a podcast that comes out every Thursday, Marking the Times. We have articles, information that come out all week long. We want you to be a part of that. $7 a month, $77 a year. You get all this valuable information. We want you to do that. I want to thank you for joining me today. We'll see you next time right here with Billy Crone on Tipping Point. God bless you.